I got hoaxed today. You won't believe it. I thought I had what was an opportunity to be on TV, and I was a little blindsided by the result. So I was on Instagram, and it was titled "Legacy Makers," which if you know me, that shit speaks to me. So I'm like, okay, and it looked like an inspirational show where they want to highlight people trying to either build their brand up or, promote their business. So I'm reading it. And they did state in the application that based on what kind of business you have, which I have a podcast, right? I'm not running a restaurant. I'm not trying to start a clothing brand. How much money do I really need to start a podcast? But they stated that you may have to pay for licensing or put out some type of money. But the way I took it was that, okay, they may suggest different equipment or something that I should purchase. I'd be willing to invest. So the call was today, my audition, and the woman gets on the Zoom call, and I tell her about, it always starts off with, tell me about yourself. And I tell her about myself, which I squeezed in a lot in a minute or two. And then the next thing she says is, wow, you have such an inspiring story, which is no lie, right? But she then follows up with, have you looked into our show? Have you watched trailers? Have you looked at the website? And I'm like, why are you trying to sell me? And I'm like, usually it should be the other way around. I should be trying to sell you, myself. I should be trying to sell myself. And I also thought it was strange that leading up into the interview, I kept getting notifications from last night, your Zoom call's tomorrow, then your Zoom call is in 5 hours, your Zoom call's in 2 hours. And I'm just like, okay, blowing me up like you're the friggin' Federal Credit Union. So I thought that was weird as well, because I've been to auditions. If you show up, you show up. If you don't. After I inspired her, she's like, okay, here's the packages that we offer. And it was supposed to be for licensing and all of that, starting at $10,000, then $15,000, then $25,000. I'm just flattered that they thought I had that just sitting around. And then I look into it. All of the networks that they stream on, you don't need broadcasting licenses for. So for anybody watching who is applying to this show, I don't know if it's in your best interest to be investing that money in them. It just sounds like we're paying for the douchebag's lifestyle.
Yeah, yeah. Like, if you're going to be casted on a TV show or a podcast or whatever it is, you should be on there for free, or they should be paying you.
Yeah.
Like, what am I paying you for? I don't get
Right.
that. I don't get that. That just doesn't seem right to me at
Yeah,
all.
I'm sitting there like, I wonder if Tyler will let me borrow $10,000.
Oh God, I'm so glad you did not even.
Just kidding. He would have smacked me.
I don't think the tariffs are killing us, so we don't have time to be spending $10,000 to be on someone's podcast. That's crazy.
I know.
I'm about to charge you $5,000 to be here today.
You're worth it.
$5,000. That's not bad. I mean, it's half that, right?
Yeah, a little half pricer. I'd give you $6,000. Well, remember last night I was on the phone talking about cutting you a check. Tyler wakes up like, "What are you talking about? Why are you telling Javy you're gonna cut him a check?"
He probably like, "Girl, this girl crazy."
I'm like, "Cause he's been helping me."
Well, I won't charge you no damn $10,000. I won't charge you anything. It's just fun to hang out. We haven't hanged out in a while anyway.
I know. So I'm glad I got to be seeing you more. So do you think I've grown since when we lived together?
Definitely, yeah. You definitely grown.
Yeah, I know. Sure. I might have been a pain in the ass. I don't know.
You were a pain in the ass. Um, just something funny to bring up. Whenever you used to get home, I don't know what you did in your room, but it sounded like you were bowling. And we used to, me and the other roommates, we'd be like, there she goes bowling.
No.
I don't know if it was like you were throwing your shoe, like you just took them off and you threw them or something, maybe.
Well,
But
no, because I don't do that.
it sounded like you were bowling up there. Like it wasn't all the time. It was just like when you got home, when you finally got to your room, it just sounded like bowling balls were being thrown.
That's funny.
And me and Lisa used to be like, there she go bowling.
Because like it was like right before I moved out. We had like a little, you know, I don't know what to call it because it wasn't an argument. It was we had a get together with a few friends, and I remember at one point I got a little drunk, and then I remember just the mood changing, and then I didn't know what happened, and I'm trying to think back on like what the hell did I do this time? Because you know when you black out, you're like, what did I do? And then I remember just being like, oh my God, like, I love Javi. Like, I don't want us to, like, not be friends. And I remember, like, I was, especially because I'm about to, like, move out. And I remember coming home, you had your niece there, and she was so cute. And I could tell you were pissed at me. And then I waited till she left, and I'm like, hey, I'm like, we don't have to talk right now. And you're like, you know, I'm pissed at you. I said, I know you're pissed at me. And I was like, but I really want to talk, and I'm glad we were able to like get past that because I love you so
I
much.
love you too. I'm glad we were able to get past that. Oh my god, I remember that like a little bit. Like, what the fuck was I mad about?
I don't
You know,
remember.
I was being a bitch though that year before you left and before I left. I was even being a bitch to like Lisa. I remember she said I made her cry about something. Yeah,
Really?
but you know what's crazy? Before I left, I was really sick. My diabetes was really bad. And I don't know if you know this, but like diabetics, when like their sugar is really high for a long time, they have like really bad mood swings and anger. And I think, you know, you probably did something that irritated me, but I probably took it my personal, like I probably took it way. I probably got more angry than I should have had gotten mad. But do you remember what I was mad about?
No, I
Did we
don't.
talked about it?
We did. I think it was like
Was it dishes or something?
I dropped a glass, and then like I was trying to clean it, and I think like you guys are trying to tell me how to use the vacuum. I'm like, I know. That's like the last thing I
Yes, I
remember.
remember that. I remember.
But because I felt like you guys were like, oh God, you like I know how to use the vacuum.
I think it was one of those things for sure. Like, you know, like I moved out and I think like I had like I was like at my wits end with having roommates. And I moved out and moved on to my own thing and whatever. And I'm still like some days I'm like, ugh, I need my own place. Sometimes I feel like, you know, you have when you deal with other people, you're dealing with other personalities, you know, you're dealing with you can't do the you can't have the house the way you want to have it because you're with other people. Like I'm the type of person that like after I'm done eating, I wash my dish right away. I don't put it in the sink and leave it there for an hour, 15, 20 minutes. So when you live with people and other people do that, it like irritates,
Right.
right? So like even like now home with like my partner and you know we have one of his sisters like I'm like that like that's the one thing I'm like on top of everybody and I probably annoy the fuck out of them sometimes. Like don't leave any dishes. Like I don't want to like especially like the worst thing for me is waking up to a dish in the sink. I don't even care if like my house is a fucking mess. Like if the floor is dusty, it needs to be swept mop. I don't care. Like if it needs to be vacuumed, I don't care. No fucking dishes in the sink. And I think there's been like a few times where not just you, Lisa or anyone who came over would like leave dishes in the sink, and that shit would piss me the fuck off, especially after like if I clean the kitchen, clean the sink. I'll be like, and I remember one day, I don't know if it was you or Lisa, but there was like a pan in there, and it was, and I wanted to do something in the sink, but it was in the way, and I was like, I picked it up and dropped it, and it like spilled in the water, and I was like, who
Yeah.
left this fucking dish in the sink? Like, can y'all just wash the damn dish?
Yeah.
So I think it was like a just an irritation with me. I get irritated easily, so.
Hey.
I'm sorry if I made you. Sorry
No.
to anyone that I pissed off.
No, don't be sorry. Honestly, I think that's why they always say don't live with your friends,
Mm-hmm.
because it really can ruin your friendship. And like luckily, I wasn't with you two that long, and I think at that point I left at the right time, because, it got to the point where it was like, okay, like we're all clashing a little too much. And three people's a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and even though the house is pretty spacious, but I appreciated you guys letting me come in, because that was after, the whole abusive relationship, and I had to leave my house. So, yeah, that's who I ended up moving in with, Javi and a good friend of ours. So they helped me. And then, you know, I ended up moving in with that girl in Delaware, and that was a complete nightmare. She was like forging the bills. Like I'll never forget. I started wondering, why are these bills so high? And I remember, genuinely going to her with concern, because she was a little younger, and I thought maybe she was just getting robbed. So I said, "Hey, can you send me a breakdown of the bills?" And she started getting weird, and that's when I'm like, so that's when she started sending me different portions, but I'm like, no, I want to see the breakdown.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see this is
Mm-hmm.
this that. And when she got weird about it, that's when I started asking more and demanding to see it. But I genuinely wanted to help and make the bills go down,
Right.
because I had more experience with that type of thing. And that's when she finally sends me a bill. And sometimes I wonder what people really think of me, because any person who's not cracked out could see that the white part went into the words under, and that's what made me look closer. And the real amount was whited out on, like, she edited it on the Paint app and then typed in a higher amount. So as she's trying to come up with her lie, I'm on the phone with the electric company, because she should have whited out the account number. So I'm on the phone. I put on the account number. The bill was $43. She sent me a bill for like $175, asking for half. And then her excuse is, "Oh, that's the bill I was going to send to her boyfriend at the time, who she said was her ex, but was there every day, like sleeping in her bed, but
Charge
wasn't
them
her
rent
ex."
too. Charge them rent too.
Probably try to make herself feel better for sleeping with him and a bunch of other people. I know that game. I've played it before. But either way, yeah, she probably was charging him rent, but still charging me,
Mm-hmm.
like, splitting it 50-50. But she was asking him for some. She was profiting off of us. So yeah, that's when I decided I will never have roommates ever again.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard like to live with a roommate, especially living with people who aren't exactly the way you are.
Right.
Like the same kind of cleanliness or like it's just one of those things like if you do decide to get a roommate like in the future because obviously like times are hard, right? Like who can really afford a nice place by themselves and having a roommate is good. Having space between is good too. Obviously you guys are going to be on some kind of like there's gonna be some kind of clash at some point. But like what you really want to do if you get a roommate is room with someone who's alike to you, someone you get along with, obviously, but you also want to set some rules from the gate, like some expectations from the gate, and just always uphold those expectations with each other,
Right.
and like, you know, yeah, because I remember like when I first moved in, it was just me and Lisa and like we sat down and we were like, I'm like this, like you're okay with that, like I'm like this, are you okay with that? Okay. And
Yeah.
after a while, like I was always okay with like a chill vibe, like not worrying about the dishes in the beginning. I was like, whatever. I think after a while, like I started getting just like, I don't know, anxious about like dishes and things being done, and I feel like, you feel like you're like the only one sometimes, like you're the only one cleaning or the only one doing this, and so it's like definitely you want to have those conversations if you do have a roommate or plan to get one, like set some standards, set some rules in the beginning, just try to be fair, try to split everything even, and just be considerate of other people.
Yeah.
Like that's all you can do. But yeah, it get like that. Like even with like, eventually maybe you and your partner will want to move in with each other. Like you even have to have that conversation with your partners and stuff, because you're gonna clash. You're not gonna be happy. Like not everyone was raised the same. Not everyone is, on top of things the same. So as
Right.
long as you, before you do that, you understand that with each other, like, be fine. I always try to meet in the middle.
Oh, for sure. I put his ass to work when he visits. I'm like, hey, can you do that? Hey, can you help with that?
But now he
And then,
knows.
I tell him why he did it wrong and how he should have done it. Then I'm like, move, and I do it. And. But yeah, I totally get that. And thanks for like filling me in about the diabetic thing because I didn't know that.
It was real.
I did not know that.
I didn't know either.
And, setting boundaries and communication is definitely important for
You,
sure. So, but I'm glad that we're still friends
uh,
and we're always going to be friends. But one thing that's different this time around is we used to sit on the porch and smoke cigarettes, and now we got our vape. So, yay to
Here's my
us
vape.
for quitting cigarettes. But,
But it's not not that this is any better, but it is kind of better.
I mean,
Better than the cigarettes. That's the one thing I do miss living with you. Like we would sit out on the porch and just talk shit and smoke a cigarette.
we'd be out there all night
Yeah.
talking about God knows what. We would be cackling. Then the neighbor across the street would always peek her head out. Oh, she was the worst. Remember, she wanted me to wash her feet. I was going to until she kept blowing up my phone. I'm like, okay, now you making me not want to.
Not wash the feet.
I know. What do I look like,
I,
Jesus?
I love people, but
Am I Jesus at the temple?
I didn't go to nursing school, so
No. I mean, it's like, go get a pedicure, sis.
yeah, no,
I
that's
should have just taken her to get a pedicure. I never thought of that.
yeah. She probably would have loved that.
Right?
I don't got time. I
Yeah.
don't got time.
I still have voicemails from her. I
I
gotta
get
keep
them
those.
still.
That's probably why I got all that shit on my
That's
phone. That's probably why I got no
no
storage.
bad. I actually still talk to her like all the time, like at
Oh,
least once or twice a week.
oh, that's good. I'm
Checking on each
glad.
other, yeah.
Yeah,
So
she needs that. But
yeah, y'all was beefing at one point.
oh my god, I can't. Don't get me started. I started. I quit cigarettes because last October, like not the one that passed, last year. Well, 2023, right? I started coughing so
Mm.
bad. And it was to the point where it would go on for like 20 minutes. And it was like concerning. So I didn't tell anybody this at the time because I deep down I thought I was going to die. And I remember laying. It's
It's
funny
not
now
funny, but
because
it's funny.
but at the time it wasn't because I remember laying in bed. Tyler was asleep, and I had been coughing up blood, but I didn't tell anybody. And I remember laying in bed. He was asleep, and I accepted that I might have cancer or something, and that I'm going to die soon. And I accepted it. And I remember laying in bed next to him, just like a tear rolling down my eye, like I'm going to die, and it's okay. It's my time. It's my fault. I should have taken better care of myself. So then, long story short, I started looking into it, and I got a chest. Uh, no, it wasn't an X-ray.
A
They put
CAT
me to
scan.
sleep, and an
Oh,
endoscopy,
endoscopy.
and they put the tube down my throat with
And
a
that's how you
camera. I found that I have a hiatal hernia.
That's how I found out I had my hiatal hernia. Endoscopy.
When did
Hernatious. We Hernatious, I said her.
her nation, her
Hernatious.
nation? I never knew you had a hiatal hernia though.
I didn't know either. Well, remember the
Oh.
whole. Well, remember the bad diabetes, that period? I was literally dying. So when I find out how bad I totally lost like grip of my diabetes at that point, and I knew I had to do something. So I stopped checking my sugar. Like it was just really bad, like really really bad. I started checking my sugar, and it was so high the meter couldn't read it. So I'm like, oh, gotta start taking my medicine. So I started taking my medicine again, which this is stuff I know. But like when your sugar is that high, you don't think straight. So I started checking my sugar and it was too high, and I was like, fuck, I gotta do something. And I went to the doctors and I was becoming insulin resistant to the point where insulin wasn't working on me. It wasn't doing anything at all.
Wow.
So insulin resistance is, you can look it up. Can become insulin resistant even without diabetes. A lot of women who have PCOS or things like that. So um, I was I scheduled with my doctor. Medicine wasn't working, so I scheduled to see a diabetes specialist, and she recommended losing weight. Like that, I needed to lose weight, and I decided to go get surgery. I was gonna get a gastric sleeve. It's like a gastric bypass, but it's less invasive than the sleeve. It's like a band they put in your stomach, or they cut your stomach down a little bit and they like tie it up or whatever. They make your stomach smaller so you lose your appetite, you can lose weight. So, but my diabetes was so bad I couldn't get the surgery. You have to be under a certain amount of sugar. You have to be healthy to have any surgery. So I ended up getting on the weight loss medication, which was more so for my diabetes. The plan was to just get my sugar down enough so I can get the surgery, but I ended up losing 50 something pounds and not needing the surgery. And that's now I'm not on any diabetes medicine anymore. Just
Wow.
the Manjaro, which helps, helps keep my sugar low and helps curb the appetite, and maintain weight. I did gain like 9 pounds recently, but I think it was like a combination of like the winter and the holidays and stuff. So I'm like more conscious now and trying to get back on track. So yeah. So I
Yeah.
had to get an endoscopy. Long story short, I had to get the endoscopy to get cleared for surgery. Then I found out I had a hiatal hernia as well.
And now we're just hernia
Yep.
sisters. When was that?
So I've been 2 years in this process. So 2 years ago.
Okay.
So I was scheduled for surgery and everything, and I ended up losing too much weight that I couldn't get the surgery because you need to also be at a certain weight.
Yeah.
Can't be under a certain weight for that surgery. And everyone was like, you don't need the weight loss surgery. Like, that's very dramatic to have a weight loss surgery. But I did. My diabetes was uncontrolled. If it wasn't for the medication, like, I probably would still have bad diabetes.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like it worked out in your
It did.
favor though. And you look great by the
Thank you.
way. You
Thank
really
you.
do.
Thank you.
So, as long as you know you feel good and
Hmm.
you're happy,
Yep.
that's all that
Thank you.
matters.
Thank you.
Yeah, I need to get back in the gym though, or I've been eating like shit.
Me too.
It's
Last few days it's been like that.
it's so bad, but because there's always you got the holidays and you have summer and it's there's always something.
Hmm.
So you gotta just stick to the routine, I guess. But me, I'm really bad at that. I'm like really bad with keeping a routine.
Yeah. That's the problem. You think about it as a routine.
Yeah,
So
not a
I had
lifestyle.
right. So like I had to seek I had to get therapy for before getting weight loss and surgery and all that. You go through therapy and like you see a food therapist, like, and they tell you like don't think about like it as a routine or think about as a diet. It's not a diet. It's how you should be eating.
Yeah, because it
Um,
almost sounds like a punishment.
right.
Yeah.
But you also have to treat yourself and not think about it as a cheat as well. Have it. You can eat out still. just portion, not every day, So things like that.
Right. Well, I'm off to a bad start this week because yesterday I had Chick-fil-A and today I had McDonald's.
It's
Tomorrow's
okay.
another day.
Yeah. Tomorrow's another day. You don't have to wait for Monday to come to make changes. You can start tomorrow. We'll be fine.
Well, aside from everything you've been helping me with, you got me back into the puzzle game. So thank you, because that's like a very therapeutic hobby and it keeps me out of trouble. It keeps me off the streets.
Mm-hmm.
So once again, if you are into puzzles, you could also follow Javy's puzzle page. It's Javy's Puzzle Odyssey. And you're on Instagram and he's on YouTube as
Mm-hmm.
well. Like and subscribe his stuff. He recently did this really cool 3D puzzle. I never seen something like that in my life. It was cool. It was like the friggin' Flying Dutchman ship.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That was my first sponsor video. Like a company reached out to me and wanted me to do it on the channel. So
that's awesome.
That was cool. So yeah, Javy's Puzzle Odyssey YouTube. Same thing for Instagram.
Things poppin'. Yeah, so you just got to keep going, everybody. If
Mm-hmm.
if you have a goal, you have a dream, don't let anyone steer you the wrong way or tell you that your dreams are, silly or a waste of time. In the end, it always pays off.
Yeah.
So,
and don't get discouraged. Nothing pops off right away. Like, it might take a year, it might take two, but if that's something you really want to do, just keep pushing it. Don't stop. Because when you give up, then that's when you fail.
yeah.
You just keep going, Find a pace that works for you and keep pushing out what you want to do. Just don't give up.
Yeah, that's true. Stopping is failure. I think everybody gets confused. They see people with 100K followers and all these likes and like everything's all perfect and glamorous. It doesn't really, a lot of that's a facade.
Mm-hmm.
People are paying for followers. People are, it's a lot of it's fake.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad that we're some real ones out here in the industry. And you won't catch us at the Met Gala with no top hat. No top hats.
No, thank you.
So I'm going to end that on a positive note. Again, I thank you so much for coming today and being patient. We had a little hiccup while we were filming. We had to take a long break, but thank you for everything. And I love you and I appreciate you.
Thank you. I love you too.
Thank you so much for watching another episode of Big Deb Energy. And I will see you next time.
Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe to her channel. Hit that like button. It's free. Subscribe is free.
Hey. Thank you for watching. See you next time.